All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Infinite Creativity 𝗬𝗓. I'm live, I'm alone. You can join me if you like, it'll be a pleasure. As you can see here, it says Infinite Creativity 𝗬𝗓 with Sab in Paris. Sab in Paris is I, moi, même. I'll get rid of this. What have we got here? Yeah. So it's going to be me for the next hour or two. We'll see what happens. And I'm going to be talking about life, the universe, and everything. What I've been up to creatively. Wow, there's a new word. And we'll see what else happens. So I will tell you that I've got a headache. And the reason for that is because I decided to give up coffee last week. And I decided to give up coffee because I didn't have any coffee one day and I couldn't be bothered going out to the supermarket during the lockdown. You can go out, but you have to have a piece of paper saying that you're going out, who you are, where you were born, you know, your mother's in a leg size. I just couldn't be bothered. So I stayed in and I didn't have any coffee. And this is very, very rare. So the next day I was thinking, when else are you going to go for a whole day without coffee? And besides, you drink the stuff like from morning to night, cup after cup. I'm a chain coffee drinker. I don't know if this has anything to do with the stuff I create or not. I do photographs of coffee mugs sometimes, but I ended up thinking, hope you can hear me okay. I ended up thinking, I'll try it for another day. And then I thought, darn it, I'll see if I can give up coffee. I'm not planning on giving it up. I'm just seeing if I can give it up. And for the next 4 days, until now, I have really bad headaches. So I've been taking these things here. This is a French thing. I don't know if it's worldwide, called Doliprane. They look like this. No, they don't. They look like this. Big white mothers. And you pop them in and your headache goes away for a few hours and then it comes back. So in terms of coffee, I don't know if you guys have tried giving something up or not. Just to try, or for good, properly, and if you've found it easy or not. But wow, it's kind of tough. I want to wait and see if the headaches go away, and then I'll have another cup of coffee, but not as many as before. Got something watching. Yaruska, hi, how are you doing? So you've got Yaruska. I'm a little bit later than last week. I decided last week, hang on, we've got Dorothy. Hi, Dorothy. And I've got Tinkut, who is popping in to say hello. I'm wondering about the strictness of this, because last week I said I decided before the show I'm not going to plan anything. I'm going to be completely spontaneous, go with the flow, see what happens. And besides, isn't that what always happens anyway? Answers on a postcard or in the chat. If you want to chat with me, you need to be on facebook.com. And I would like you to chat with me. I just want to show you where you need to be, if I can find it. Good grief, why can I never find this thing? I don't know where my thing is, but you need to be watching me on facebook.com/sabparis. Then you can leave comments and I can see you. Yeah, so last week I said, look, if you're getting worried about it, what are you getting worried about? You're worried it won't be too much, it won't be enough this, or it'll be too much that. And this is typical, isn't it? Whenever you create anything, whenever you've got to do anything. So I thought, damn it, I'm not going to prepare. I'm going to tell people I haven't prepared. And that's it. And wow, there was this massive falling away of stress. I mean, you can't do that if you're turning up to talk about something seriously and people are expecting, you know, to have a good structured talk. You know, you've got to prepare something. But I think a lot of times in life we do stress about future possible terrible failures, whereas in fact, well, you don't know what's going to happen, do you? So anyway, with this, I've got all the stuff I can talk about. I hope you give me some questions instead of just say hello and give me some questions on creativity, productivity, curiosity, and infinity. That's what I want. Questions on life, the universe, and everything. Weird stuff. How to be more creative. How to be more productive. And I've even started a blog, kind of blog website thing. I'll just show you it briefly if you haven't seen it before. It's called lazypig.com. Lazypig.com. How about that? Why is it called that? It was about the first website name I ever bought. And I was excited. It was like back in the 90s. Remember those, boys and girls? And you could buy website names. God, it was amazing. So I bought some weird stuff like I bought blackwitch.com. Still got it. I bought lazypig.com. You're looking at it now. I bought some other stuff. Hodgepodge.com. Still got that. Hodgepodge.com. So, you know, that was fun. And then I literally had lazypig.com for about 20 years. Yeah, more than 20 years, and didn't do anything with it. So kind of suits me, doesn't it? Lazypig.com. I've got a cool name like that. Well, I think it's cool. And didn't do anything with it. So lazypig.com has finally seen the light of day after 20 or 25 years. And it's going to be where my new articles are going to live. Not old ones. They're all going to be new. And they're going to be on the topics I want you to ask me questions of or comment about. No, ask me questions on or comment about here. Okay, so I do want comments. So I would like there to be a label somewhere saying "Give me comments," but I can't find it. Oh, there it is. There it is. You see, creativity questions or productivity questions in the chat on facebook.com//SabParis. Okay, this show won't be able to go on without you, and if my head starts getting, you know, tired and my eyes are falling asleep and I don't know what to talk about, I need your comments. I need your questions. Ask me a question about creativity. Ask me a question about productivity. Ask me a question about life, the universe, and everything. I won't answer it. I haven't got the answers, but I can comment on it. So that's my thing. What's your thing? What are you doing that's creative these days? Just to tell you, this is the Infinite Creativity Satsang. I turn up on a Sunday evening and I talk about who knows what. I'll talk about anything, everything you like. I'll talk about my latest creations, and I'll talk about anything you would like to talk about as well. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll launch into something that I was in the middle of, and it was, I'm looking over here because I've got another screen. I know it looks really unpleasant when you're watching because it's like an extreme angle. So sorry about that. I'm going to just show you my latest photographs, but the thing is they weren't ready. So I'm just going to do them in front of you. How about that? Is that okay for you? So this is my page for my Paris Photo Chronicles, otherwise known as When Lady Eiffel Smiles. I'm going to update it for you in front of my eyes, because I have just finished it. So I present them in grids of 9. This is my thing. This 3x3 is my thing. I don't know why it's my thing. It just became my thing. Have you got a thing? You creative people watching. Yes, I'm talking to you. Have you got a thing? Have you found your thing, your creative thing? I've just realized there's a theme to this and I haven't even mentioned it. The theme tonight is called Just Do It / Little Baby Steps. Okay, Just Do It / Little Baby Steps. This is about creativity and productivity. And I'll have a little talk about that in a minute. But, you know, have you got a thing in your creativity? Have you found what it is that you seem to be doing so often that you've sort of identified with it, and maybe people are even starting to associate you with it? Because I've got this theory, it's that you don't find your thing, it finds you. But how do you let it find you? That's the problem. And you let it find you by doing stuff. You do stuff, and little by little, you suddenly realize that you like doing some stuff more than other stuff. And then there will come a moment when someone says to you, they saw one of your things and they said, oh, I thought that was yours. Or they look at one of your photographs and say, yeah, that's certainly yours. And you think, what do you mean? And then they tell you what your style is. It's quite a strange thing when it happens. I mean, obviously a 3x3 grid, it's kind of seems a bit fake, a bit too easy. Hey, I'll do a 3x3 grid, and then when people see that, they'll think it's me. But having said that, I mean, I didn't really choose it as my thing. I just started doing stuff like that. And then I started fitting in all my other stuff. Started with painting. Then I decided to put my photographs in that grid. Then I decided to stick my writing on my photographs in the grid. And then the whole Paris Set Me Free Photo Chronicles thing exploded, and I decided to do a project lasting 18 years. And I'm now in year 3, which is posting a creative Paris, a photograph of Paris, and an accompanying text every day. That is my artistic challenge for the moment. If I stop one day, it's not the end of the world. But you know what? I'm on number 850 now. That's 850 days in a row. And I do end up saying this most nights, most shows, and it's never to boast or anything, because it just kind of happened. I just ended up doing one every day. And it seems like 850 of those days have gone by, and I haven't stopped doing it. That's all it is. You know, and maybe it'll be 8,000 one day. Maybe I'll stop tomorrow. I don't know. But something has happened that has meant that I haven't stopped. And it wasn't the thing I decided to do. This thing that I do every day found me. I didn't decide to do it, as it were. So there's that. So guys, tell me, do you have a creative thing? How do you drive yourself to produce, to create every day, or do you create every day? Do you create every now and then? Do you not create at all and you're frustrated? Do you create happily and you've got a fantastic technique and you can share it? What's the deal with you? Hi, Alice. Great to have you here. Thanks for popping in. 𝗂𝗏𝗏 says, I haven't thought about my creative style. I believe my style is based on simplicity and practicality. In your business, as it were, your creativity, how does your creativity express itself? Because if you're talking about things like photographs and painting, or even writing an article, I guess, is that easier to be creative, or is it seen more as creative than if you do something like create an online course for weight loss, or, you know, feeling good about yourself? I'm not sure about that one. I mean, everything is creative, really, isn't it? We're all creative creatures. We're born from a creative act. We are creativity. I kind of think we're creativity personified, or we're a great example of it. So people who say I'm not creative, and there's many of them, I don't believe them for a start, but that doesn't necessarily help them. If they say, no, I'm not creative, and there's no point in me saying, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. That could go on for a while. I still think they are, but that isn't going to work. You know, it has to be done in a different way. Somehow, either showing them that something they've done in their everyday life, which seems banal or pathetic or nothing or everyday, is creative. Maybe they iron their clothes very creatively or arrange their books creatively. I remember a lady I saw on a webinar, and I had to get in touch with her. You know why? She was a participant, not the one giving the webinar. I had to get in touch with her. And it wasn't because she was beautiful or what she said was interesting or anything like that. In the background, this is so funny. In the background, she had shelves, right? A bit like, dare I show you? Well, you see my shelves behind there, all these compartments. And she had arranged her books. She'd arranged them by color, right? I don't know why I'm laughing. So she had the green section, the yellow section, the blue section, you know. I don't know, maybe I'm laughing because both my parents were librarians at one point. And that's just so, yeah, I just can't imagine. My dad devoted much of his life to learning the Dewey classification system. I could give him a book and he would reel off like a 6-figure number with 3 decimal points, and that would be it. He was like the world authority on the Dewey decimal classification system. And here's this girl, she's arranged her books by color. I fell in love with that immediately. So So there's that. Keeping things simple allows me to create more. Keep it fresh and help others see results fast. I read it and I didn't understand a word because I was still in the last thing. Keeping things simple allows me to create more. Keep it fresh and help others see results fast. Does that mean simplicity? Does that mean like not trying to do 10 things at once or even 2 things at once? Because I'm not that young and I know the systems, I know the ideas, I've read the one thing or whatever it is. And still I have difficulty not having more than one thing on at a time. So I totally agree, because as soon as you start doing one thing and you get rid of everything, I'm in a real campaign to get rid of distractions when I focus on one thing. And it's amazing. You go into the zone, you get stuff done. It's great. And as soon as you've got one of these things next to you with little alerts coming up, I'm not checking. I'm honestly not. I'm actually literally going to put it onto airplane mode. Airplane mode. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. But my goodness, isn't it difficult, especially when you've got millions of ideas coming to you? But this is the whole thing. This is why one reason I created this site, to make me realize if I want to be creative, I've got to produce stuff. Otherwise, I'm a dreamer. If I'm a great producer, like, head down, get stuff done, but there's no creativity in there, well, I might as well be, like checking the shape of muffins going by on a production line or screwing in the same element on 5 million things a day. You got to have both. And I've been very frustrated for many years in not creating as much as I'm capable of. It's annoying. So I'm working on ways of getting more productive. You know what? When you want to create something, there's 2 terrible moments that stop you from creating something that you can show to the world. The first one is starting. And the second one is stopping. Once you're in the game, once you're playing, once you're doing your thing, it's great. You forget that you were kind of worried about it. You completely can't understand why you didn't start earlier, like hours earlier, days earlier, years earlier. But starting is one of the most difficult things of all, isn't it? So in my productivity bites articles, I'm going to work on stuff about how to start, how to take the first step. Because very often, that's all you need. Take the first step, and what do? Well, you're kind of off balance if you've taken a step, so you take a second step. Ba-bum, ba-bum, hey, I'm walking. Look, Mum, no hands. Ah! So that's a biggie. That's really a biggie. And then the second one is stopping, like finishing the thing. I almost said finishing the damn thing. But last week, I got thrown off. This Sunday Sabsang got thrown off Facebook. Why? Because I started discussing a word which had a subword in it, which is the name of a very common variety of birds in Britain, at least. It's spelled T-I-T. And I made some remark about, I don't know, in American it's titbit. In American it's tidbit, and in English it's titbit. And I was having a discussion with myself about this. And at some point I said T-I-T loudly, or 2 times in a row. Bam! In came the FB gods, and bye-bye live show. So I'm kind of nervous now, Can I say the word? I don't know. Anyway, this is life, life. So there you go. There's a bit of that. So I'm gonna keep on bringing not just थिंखुरसा. Tonight, exceptionally, anyone else can ask questions as well as थिंखुरसा. Yes, it's true. So keeping things simple. Yeah, absolutely. Helping others see results fast. Yeah, because there's nothing more motivating than getting feedback. And to get feedback, well, you need to produce something, don't you? You need to get something out there. So if you haven't got something out there, you're not going to get feedback and you're not going to be motivated. I have got a very short span of time between having an idea, starting to work on it, and expecting some feedback. About between 1 hour and 1 day. Sometimes it's longer. That's why my articles take about an hour to write in the morning and I publish them. I like to finish something at the end of the day, and I can say, yeah, I did it. That's why I put a load of stuff on my profile here. I put everything that I create on my profile. I've just got to get it out. It's like finishing it. It's a way of finishing it and moving on. I hardly ever go back and look at what I've created. Whether it's the photographs, I see them in passing, but I don't go back and look at them. Whether it's the you're looking at something that isn't that interesting, I guess. Whether it's that, whether it's writing, I very, very rarely read the stuff I've written. I mean, I read it as part of the process, and I also leave it a little while as part of the process. But once it's gone, it's gone. They say about writers, one thing is a great thing to do when you're writing. What happens when you finish the thing? Wow. It's like, I don't know, giving birth to a baby, I guess, but is there a massive feeling of anticlimax, or you kind of think, or you relax? The best advice I've heard is, if you were writing every day, well, what's changed? Just because you've written another page and that happens to be the last page in the book that you're currently on, well, if you write every day, you write every day. So the next day you write page 1 in the next book. That's kind of the habit, that's the discipline. I love this expression, that's the discipline. And once you've got that discipline on something, it's a no-brainer. And this is on the theme of today. Just do it, and little baby steps. I think in the creative universe that we're all living in, but some of us really want to be specifically and explicitly creative. In that universe that we're living in, we need a way of being creative. We need help. It might be a technique, but it very quickly, I think it's best when it becomes automatic. It's as automatic and non-thinking as brushing your teeth or getting dressed in the morning or something. And that's when you haven't done it, you feel more irritated than when you have. You're irritated because you haven't done your thing yet. That's good. But if you're putting it off, that's not good. If you're irritated because you haven't found the time to do your thing yet, but you will do it by the end of the day, that's it. It's part of you. It's part of your routine. And you will produce, you will create. You know how much you can create when you create a little thing every day? Well, that's 365 little things in a year. And that starts not being little. That starts being big. Like a book, for example, 1 page a day. I just wrote a 365-page book in a year. So that's what this little steps thing is. Many people know about this idea. It's blindingly obvious for the same reason you don't point a telescope at the sun, which is a line from a Clash song, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 my Facebook page to get my stuff out there. I'm incorporating everything into it, almost. Everything that I feel is creative. And music, it was annoying me because music hadn't been something I produced. And it was bugging me because music is so important to me. So I decided to give you, or the world, I've got an itch, that's why I keep doing this. Maybe I should shave one of these months. I'll have a shower at the same time. It's such a part of my universe, and yet none was coming from me, you know? So I thought, darn it, not damn it. I'm gonna publish regularly, a few times a week, the song that's in my mind. The problem is it's a nightmare choosing your favorite song, isn't it? What's your favorite song? Too difficult? Okay, your top 10. You know, I mean, as long as you've loved music and you've lived a few years, it's a joke question, you know. So I've just come to the conclusion it's either a song that the last one reminded me of that I'm going to publish on my thing with a YouTube video, so you just click and listen and we're kind of brought together through music in a beautiful way. Or it's one that, you know, all the time I'm pushed to play a certain song. You know how it happens. You think, oh, I'd love to hear that. You don't know why. Something reminded you of it. So it's going to be that one. I don't think there's any other way. But that's great because, you know, it's the one that's on your mind. You're just listening to it. You're loving it again. Bam, put it out there. I'll put a little description of why I like it. And that's it. I've shoved a bit more stuff out there. Shoving a load of stuff out there isn't for everyone. So I'm not quite sure why I do it. It's sharing. For me, creativity and sharing and learning is a cycle. And through sharing, you get feedback. And you hopefully bring happiness and joy and connectedness to more people through sharing. We're social creatures. So that's why I do it, I guess. But for me, it's part and parcel. I can't have one without the other. I can't create something and keep it to myself. I don't really care what the reaction is, but a reaction is good. And no reaction, if I was talking to someone today, asking me what my special words were, because I mentioned at one point, I said, I often say that I've got a few words that I've eradicated from my dictionary, or I don't accept them, or in terms of creativity, or I have completely redefined them. And she said, you know, I'd like to mention your words, your terror words. And they are basically success, failure, comparison, perfection, and imperfection. Those 5 words. I mean, you can have variations, you know, imperfect, imperfection, success, successful. Comparison doesn't really fit into the group of words I think are very dangerous. It's the concept of comparison, not the word itself. It's the idea of comparing yourself to anyone else, especially when we're talking about creativity. Because what is your definition of creativity? Please leave it in the chat there. What's your definition of creativity? I won't tell you mine because that might stop you from writing yours. So, you know, how can you compare things that haven't been done before? You create something and it's new. So, and you did it, and you know you have never done that before. So, I'm not a fan of comparison at all. In some cases, sure, but in terms of people who are trying to be creative and trying to be confident about themselves and producing things in the world and even making people happy through their gifts, comparison can be a disaster, very, very negative. So I don't like it. I don't like success and failure. The only definition of success I like is that you've tried something as opposed to not trying. That's okay. That's okay. And as for perfection and imperfection, I'm not even going to go there. I'm going to do something in front of your eyes whilst waiting for your comments and questions. Please say hello if you're joining, or if you haven't said hello yet, say where you are. And I'm going to do this in front of your eyes. I'm going to update my photos and talk about them. Dorothy says, your smartphone photo class opens up my creative eyes. Marvelous. That is fantastic. And I can absolutely see it. You're coming out with some fantastic experiments there. Okay, so these are my photos for this week. And I finished the grid, finished the chapter, but I haven't updated the photos. So you're going to see a bit of my creative process. Just have to remember which photographs I need to upload. So I'm going to go into my welcome to the cavern. Here we go. It's kind of scary in here. Be careful. There's ghosts and weird stuff. So I'm going to upload the images that I haven't uploaded yet. This is my process. So which ones was it? I'll go backwards, that's easier. So yeah, this one, the self-portrait for the week, needs to be uploaded. This is the one with the text, and this one, the one without. With text and without. Can you see this happening? You can't see this happening. Oh, you can't see this happening. I wonder why. Oh, okay. It doesn't want you to. Okay, fair enough. Oh, yeah, I know why. Yeah, okay. All right, well, bear with me. So I'm just uploading some photographs that I'm going to put into my pages, and then you'll see them, and everything will be okay again. The birds will start singing. The sun will come out. All right. Is that coming back now? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You wouldn't believe, in creativity terms, how often I spend doing tiny, meaningless, moronic, mundane little tasks, like moving letters a couple of pixels over at the end of every single line. Can you believe that? I don't know which square I clicked on now. This is getting kind of tricky, isn't it? Is that the right one? Let's see. Yeah. Yes, it is. Is it? So each chapter has 9 photos in. This is from 838. So 838, 839, 840, 841. Yeah. Every one with a 1 at the end is a self-portrait. It's called creative disintegration. So don't get any fancy ideas about me thinking I'm great. It's disintegration. No, creative disintegration. I'm basically watching myself get old and wrinkly and fall off the planet. But I'm trying to do it creatively. And I do it with whatever's come up in my life recently. For example, Xander's balls have come up in my life recently. There we are. On the left, it's one of Xander's balls. He's a juggler. He's a fool of play. And on the right are a couple of Busan balls. So, yeah, anyway. Right, I'm going to carry on. So in the middle, I think there's my coffee cup. Yeah, there it is. So this coffee cup accompanies me all the time, except now, because I've just attempted to give up coffee. Have you ever attempted to give something up? Was it easy? Was it not easy? This is interesting because Ďáľi did a poster that I had on my wall. This is Ďáľi here. A poster I did on my wall. I had on my wall as a kid. 2 posters actually. Amazing. They were he was the first artist that really grabbed me because he did these amazing things where there were 2 images, one reflected the other, or one was exactly the same as the other, but in completely different things. One was called The Metamorphosis of Narcissus, and the other one was called Swans Reflecting Elephants, and they were both incredible. I thought, wow. So he was my first sort of fetish artist. And that's Ďáľi reflecting trees. In the Ďáľi Museum up in Montmartre in Paris. Okay, a couple more. This one. This is a nice one. It's a nice view into a restaurant, into the terrace of a restaurant, actually. Terrace. And this is a statue. It's kind of funny. Dreamy statue with a nice seafood platter, smorgasbord laid out in front. And the last one is a nice couple of leaves, which go very well with the flowers up in the top left. So let me do the same on the bottom one. Okay, so this here you can see they've got the writing. I'll read some of the things I've written as well. All right, so this is the top right. What was the top right one? It was a I can't even remember. Oh, the top right one was the bird, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. The bird. No, I want the bird with words. The bird with the words. You won't see anything for a second. Bear with me. And the bird with the words was actually a poem called Avoidance Therapy. And I need all the rest, don't I? All those ones. All right, let's see if I can find it. So this one here is me holding the balls, and then the mug, and then Ďáľi. All right, so this is looking for the mug with the writing, the balls with the writing, and Ďáľi with the writing. What do you think of the variety of these shots? Because it's kind of random, but at the same time, I try to put them in the grid in a pleasant kind of way. This is the next step up from trying to be creative within the photograph, is trying to be creative. This is one I I didn't upload the gun thing. It's a telescope actually with this is a great example because I had this telescope treated in the same way visually, shooting up from the bottom left, and it looked like it was aiming to take out the poor pigeon which was flying by in the top right. Look, I'll just go through this. It's coming, it's coming. No stress, no worries. It's no problem. People can come, people can go. And then down in the bottom, it was the Paris street scene of a restaurant front. Their terraces are great, you know. They decided to ban smoking in Paris inside. So what happened was everyone poured out of the restaurants and the cafes onto the sidewalk, the pavement, to have their cigarette, which meant that everyone walking past had to go through this kind of haze of smoke in order to get past the cafe. And then they made the terraces smoking, so you could be outside and smoke. So that ruined the pleasure. All the smokers were on the terrace outside, so it ruined the pleasure from the non-smokers being outside. And then they actually decided to completely enclose them and put inside heating, but in the terrace outside on the sidewalk, but enclosed by these sort of plastic things. So basically the smokers were smoking away effectively inside, nicely heated, and the non-smokers could then only have their eats and drinks inside the establishment, and they had to go through this kind of smoky, horrendous thing to get to it. It was a bit like in the old days when there used to be smoking carriages on trains. And if you unfortunately got in at the last minute into a smoking carriage and you wanted to go to the non-smoking, you had to go right the way through the smoking carriage. Anyway, so the last one was this. Okay, so that's the process for uploading that. Then I update it and then I show it to you. I've got 𝗏𝗏𝗏. Hi, 𝗏𝗏𝗏. All right, so let's have a look at that. I can close that, I think. Creativity, difficult one. Guess it's being able to produce something we like. There we are. Oh, lovely. Come on. There we are. There it is in all its glory. My last chapter's efforts. Guess it's being able to produce something we like. I'm cringing even having said that. OMG. Guess it's being able to produce something we like. It's like cooking. I guess it's giving any shape to any idea. Giving any shape to any idea. OMG, again, in capitals this time. Don't know. My daughter says hi. Random. Yeah. Well, I mean, why OMG in small letters or big letters? You know, creativity. It's like my definition of good. Do you think it's good? You do? Oh, okay. So it's good for you. You know, it's very closely linked to comparisons. You think it's good, then it is. You think it's crap, then it is. It's a bit like that thing. What's that sort of not feel good, like a self-helpy thing? If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Or you're right in both cases. It's a bit like that. So, you know, there's no way I'm going to say that anything I think is right for anyone except me. And even then, it probably isn't right. But you know, it doesn't matter, does it? Nothing matters. So if you think it's being able to produce something you like, then there it is. That's your definition of creativity. If you hear another one and you want to take a bit of that on board, why not? It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. The definition isn't the creative act. So it's just blah, blah. It's just words. Creativity is creating something. A lot of people, they think creativity is a subject. I guess the study of creativity, what's that? Creativology? Might be. But creativity isn't a subject. You can't say, you know, what do you do in your spare time? I do creativity. Or even I create. It doesn't mean anything. You know, what do you do in your spare time? I make vases out of clay. Oh, okay. What do you do in your spare time? I paint abstract art. Oh, okay. What do you do in your spare time? I go around the streets picking up bits of old metal and wire, and I take them home and I weld them together in my garage, and you know, in the shape of like some sort of weird human sort of. That's creativity in action, you see. So creativity is a concept, man. It's not a thing. So it's not really, you know, well, anyway, that's enough on that. It's like cooking. Yeah, I mean, if you create something, you can create something in anything. Everything we do is creating. We're creating every second. I don't really believe in time. Time is a very, very difficult concept to get a hold of, believe me. But we create our lives every instant. Every instant. Let's say an instant doesn't have a time. It doesn't have time. There is no length to the instant we're living. It's a continual, ongoing instant. It's not 1 second followed by another. It's not like, well, that was a cool second. What shall I do in the next second? I think I'll scratch my ear. Okay, right. What shall I do next second? I think I'll, you know, look at this screen. It doesn't work like that. There's no split. You don't split. Time is a concept. Splitting time into units is a concept. It's all man-made. It doesn't exist. It's nonsense. It's all nonsense. And you can take that as far as you like. So this is the point normally when I'm talking about something like this, where I actually forget completely what I was talking about. But yeah, we invent our lives from second to second, let's say. So you can do it in a more pleasing or a less pleasing way. If you do it in a pleasing way, maybe you feel you're being more creative, to go to your definition, Despina, or your little thing there. 𝗲𝗏𝗏. Hello, 𝗲𝗏𝗏. And or maybe you know, maybe that's it. Maybe creativity is about enjoying yourself, doing stuff you enjoy. What's wrong with that? In the end, it's up to us, isn't it, to decide what we consider creativity, if we think it's a thing or not, if we've got a hobby that we're passionate about and we want to go further with that, if it really makes us feel good. Does it give us a purpose in life, if you want to go even that far? So yeah, so, I mean, for example, I've chosen, or I haven't chosen. I'm not sure about decisions. I'm not sure about choices in life, honestly. I'm not sure where to go with that. So for some reason, I take photographs of Paris on a regular basis and I publish them every day. Sometime between when the sun rises and the sun goes down, I've put a photograph out there with the text. Did I choose it? Did it choose me? I have no idea. But I'm glad it's there. I really am glad it's there. You know, I enjoy it. And, you know, so that's the sort of thing I encourage people to try and do. Find something with that feeling they like doing on a regular basis. Makes them feel happy, makes others happy as well, through seeing them happy and enjoying their creations. And there's no effort. It's what you want to do, even if no one told you to do it. And if you're lucky, I guess that could be the thing that earns you money too. So 𝗲𝗏𝗏 is saying, hello 𝗲𝗏𝗏, how are you doing? I hope you're doing okay. A state of being. So you're probably replying to what's creativity? A state of being, an action, a moment of inspiration, a moment waiting for the inspiration and still being in action. All of them, yeah. I mean, these are words. We're playing with words, aren't we? Creation is above and beyond and behind words to describe what creation is. And we often forget that. We think that the words are more important than the thing we're talking about. They're not. So, yeah, I mean, it is whatever you like it, whatever you want it to be. It's something else, I think. It's not really what we think it is or what we describe it as, but it's a cool thing. There's some feeling there that we get from doing something which has changed something. If you paint a picture, before there was a white space. Then after a little while, the space has become colored. For some reason, and we feel that we were in some way responsible for that change in color. And for some reason, it pleases us. It sounds kind of silly, doesn't it, when you put it like that? I'm just thinking of a more human example, like arranging a birthday party for someone. If you imagine a birthday party with some surprises and stuff for someone, you imagine this, you organize it, it happens, people have a nice time, smiles were smiled, hugs were hugged. And then the day finishes and you wake up and it's another day. Where is the evidence? What's happened? What's changed? And yet we felt good. We did something and it made us feel good. So it's instinctive. I don't think we need to analyze it. We don't need to read a book to know what makes us feel good. We know what makes us feel good. Maybe we don't do it enough or we forget, but we know. And I think we should try and do it as much as we can. Dorothy says, I have a creative mind, combination of different tools and knowledge from a different area. I think for me, creativity seems to be stuff coming from my experiences, things that I seem to remember from the past, stuff coming from ideas which don't seem from the past. They seem to come out of the blue. Like I imagine when I'm walking sometimes and I have an idea, I imagine it's come from the sky or from the trees. But it's not 100% original because it's mixed in with everything else that I've done in my life. So, and then there's me, there's, whatever we are, wherever we are, I feel that there's ideas come from who knows where. There's stuff that has bubbled around in my mind for many, all the books I've read, the films I've seen, the songs I've listened to, and then there's my special spark. It all is stirred around in my being, and pop, something happens. A new thing happens. And I was the kind of catalyst or the channel through which that happened. I hate the word channeling. It's really kind of popular at the moment, but it makes me cringe. Anyway, I just used it. So I'm some sort of channel. Maybe it's true as well for who knows what. I quite like the artists who do say, not pretentiously, it's very pretentious, but the ones who honestly say, honestly, I don't remember doing that. I don't really feel it was me who did it. It just came, but I don't know where it came from. That I can appreciate because that's what it's like when you're creating. You're not really sure what's going on. You're not sure where the ideas are coming from. You're not sure why you did this stroke instead of this stroke, or you put this word instead of this word. When you're writing, you start writing an article, short article, 100 words, let's say 20 lines or 20 sentences or 15 sentences or 10 sentences. For a start, where does the first one come from? Who knows? Who knows? Why do you write the first sentence that you write in an article? Why did you choose that one? Answers on a postcard. I don't know. You write the first one. Where does the second one come from? Where? Where does it come from? It doesn't come from a book, does it? That book of second sentences. That one. No, it doesn't. Where does the last one come from? Where does the idea for the article come from? Where does the push to make you start writing the article come from? All of this stuff is like woo-woo land. It just comes. It just happens. And that's like the universe. That's the magic. So I guess we are like channels or canals or whatever, vectors. So I'm very wary of anyone who claims that they're great in a very personal, egotistical way, because you can't you don't know where this stuff comes from, to be honest, do you? And it's kind of, it's all swimming around. Everything's swimming around everywhere. And every now and then a kind of someone like you or I synthesize a little bit of it and zip, and pop it out in a kind of like a little capsule of something. And then we move on and go and do something else. Could have been us, could have been someone else. And that's it. So it's a very interesting question. So Dorothy, I didn't skip your question. I just, I totally agree. I've had the feeling that my hands had a consciousness of their own, creating stuff without me putting any thought in the creation. A felt accessory, a piece of jewelry. A felt, like the material felt, a piece of jewelry. I don't see why that isn't true. I don't see why that isn't true at all. I'm sure it's something like that. Yeah. I mean, if you're playing with metal, why would you twist it this way instead of that? You don't know why. You're trying stuff out, but something made you twist it that way. Something made you do it, or Dorothy says, then I'm guided. Cooperation with what lives. Yeah. Something. I'm not into any theories at all. I've decided to stop believing in anything. That's my latest big thing. I've decided to stop believing in anything. But having said that, I'm kind of into the whatever happens, happens. I don't want to go further than that, because even that probably doesn't mean anything, but I'm not even sure if things are really happening. This is happening, now is happening. We are now webinaring. Consciousness is webinaring. If you want, you can say that, can't you? Give me a better explanation for what's happening now. There isn't one. So you don't have to explain it. You just don't have to. I've got a true feeling. I almost said belief there, you see. I've got a true feeling right now that asking why is asking the wrong question. Because if you just look at it, you don't have... Do you honestly think that, I don't know, dogs or goldfish are sitting or swimming around wondering why? Why the hell am I a goldfish? Why on earth am I a black sheep? Why anything? No one. Rocks aren't thinking why. Trees aren't thinking why. I mean, we don't know. But we tend to spend a lot of time thinking why. And in the time that you're thinking why, you could be thinking what? What shall I do next? What shall I do now? Instead of thinking why, oh why me? Why have I got this problem? Whatever it is, why have I got this mortgage over my head? Why aren't my kids perfect? That word, why aren't I perfect? You could ask lots and lots of whys. You could spend your life asking why if you like. Okay, so if you want to, feel free. I think what's a more interesting question? What next? What next? That's a great question. What next? What next? That's why I don't read my old articles. I've got 150 articles like this. Look. Hang on. Every day, what's going on? Every day I write an article and I never read it again. What a waste of time, is it? I don't know. Look, 9 articles in 9 days. There they are. They're not small. Everyone is thought out, a lot of effort, picking every single word. And yet I very rarely read them again. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? And yet, for me, whatever happens to them, it's not like a baby being born and you throw the baby away, but it is a bit like when your kids grow up. You don't throw them away, but sometimes you'd like to kick them out. Once they're gone, they're gone. They're not you anymore. They didn't ask to be born. They were attached to you once. It's true. We're all one thing, I think. But once they're gone, let them go, and that's it. I've got very little interest in looking back, spending current moments on past things, however wonderful I may think they might be, because there's a new one waiting to be created. And that for me is so much more wonderful and exciting than reading an old one. Not always true though, because creativity isn't finished for me until it's been shared. And the sharing brings stuff back to me. It's a cycle. So for example, I do have pleasure in reading the odd one because I'm sharing it, and maybe you'll like it. Maybe it'll make you do something. Who knows? This was done as it's part of my photography masterclass. I needed a picture of some flowers, and I was stuck inside in the not the meltdown, the what do you call it? Not the breakdown. Breakdown is what oh my god, lockdown. And I went outside, and in between me and the supermarket almost, which is my life now, and it's only about 2.5 minutes walk, were these by the roadside. So I took them, played with them. It became my photo of a day, and I wrote something. sometimes it's quite simple. Sometimes I'm being deep and meaningful. Sometimes it's very simple, and I'm enjoying the really simple stuff as well. I'll give you an example of that. This one is pretty straightforward, There's nothing deep and meaningful. I don't think so. Some Parisians bemoan the lack of green spaces and compare. My goodness, you see, comparison. And compare their city unfavorably, of course, to London. I far prefer Paris. And find the UK's capital an endless sprawl of grey, give or take a park or two, and a zoo. Admittedly, this shot wasn't taken in Paris, just a humble suburban roadside. But it could have been, because we've got green too, and a zoo, a little one. So that's pretty straightforward, even though I'm still playing with words, just to amuse myself. And maybe it'll amuse someone else. But, I haven't been back to it until then. This was a poem. I'm happy when a poem falls out. I really am. This was the full moon. I think I told you a story about this last week, the pink moon, which, spoiler alert, it isn't pink. It's because it comes from, I learn stuff. So, you might as well have the opportunity to tell me, well, I knew that. Apparently it comes from native North American Indian, I'm not sure if that's the word you're supposed to say, culture, where they named the moons, the full moons, depending on what the season was, what was happening, what was going on. So the pink moon, because certain type of pink flowers would come out around about the time of this full moon, which is nice, isn't it? And you've got all sorts of things: worm moon, strawberry moon, blue moon, blue moon, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba. Do you remember that song? So a poem fell out. I'm really happy when a poem falls out, because I'm not doing many poems these days. And I've decided, I was a bit annoyed about the fact that my poems seemed always to be tied to my photos these days. And then I said to myself, well, this is just another example of your coming together as a creative entity. Everything's coming together. If your poems are melding with your photos, or the photo is inspiring the poem, or the poem is inspiring the photo, or something, or a poem just seems to go nicely with a photograph, go with the flow. It is what it is. So the only thing that does worry me is that less poems are coming spontaneously on their own. I don't want them to all to be attached to some photograph. But anyway, this one's called Avoidance Therapy. Words to fill a void? Why not let the void be? Let the birds be birds. Silence can be heard, see? Listen to the trees. Bees and flowers enjoyed. Freeze the powers that be. Heard followers? Avoid. Avoidance therapy. I'll read it again because sometimes the cadence isn't right, and there's a few double, triple meanings in there, but I'll leave you to work those out if you feel like it. Words to fill a void. Why not let the void be? Let the birds be birds. Silence can be heard, see? Listen to the trees. Bees and flowers enjoyed. Freeze the powers that be. Heard followers? Avoid. Yeah, I really like this photograph. And this went well with the two photographs here. You see in the bottom left, it's a telescope thing shooting up into the sky from Sacré-Cœur. And it looks like it's aiming at this bird here, which is quite funny. 𝗬𝗏 says, April is poetry month. So write a poem. And I did like the, I think you did actually. I saw something you wrote recently, 𝗬𝗏. It was pretty, I interpreted it as kind of heavy stuff. I like the way the flowers in the top left are going up like that, maybe the wrong way around. And then in the bottom right, there's these two droopy leaves which are drooping down like that. I did like that. That gave me a poem. So look what happened here with this one here. So this was taken, comments at any time on anything you like, photography, writing, art, life, the universe and everything, creativity, productivity, curiosities, infinity, the works. I don't mind. Music. Ask me a question on any of those topics. I'll be happy to talk about it. I needed some contre-jour lighting. Do you know what contre-jour is? In French, it means against the day. And in photography, it means you're shooting into the light, against the day. And if you're shooting into the light and you've got leaves or petals with the sun on the other side of them, it's beautiful because you can see the veins and stuff in the leaves. And also the edges of the leaves get highlighted. You get these little, you see the little, can you see it, the little white edges to the leaves? That's the tiny hairs on the edge of the leaf being lit by the sun from behind. It's beautiful. You wouldn't get that. Face on, it would be a boring, flat color field. It could be even more than this, by the way. I almost missed it. But you can see the sun is behind the leaves because this dark bit here is the shadow of this leaf, which is further away, being cast onto the bottom leaf, which is nearer us. And so that's nice. I liked it. I like the composition. I like it. And the funny thing is, it was a grab shot. It was a running shot. The sun was going down. My phone was at home. Ran home. Ran out. The sun was going. Oh my God! The sun's gone down. So this wasn't quite as impressive as I wanted it to be. Now that's an example. Be careful. It's an example of an artist criticizing themselves, and it's almost impossible not to do. Someone who tried to create something artistic will tend to say before anyone else has a chance to do so, by the way, it's really crap, but here it is anyway. And that was me doing it. Did you see? That was me doing it. I was coming up with an excuse. You don't know. You're looking at this, maybe thinking, what a nice photograph. So why do I need to bring it down? Well, it's to protect myself in case anyone says, you know, that they don't like it, and I run home crying to my mummy, boo-hoo-hoo, she said she doesn't like my photo. So I criticize it first, and then I've protected myself, because for you to do something worse than me criticizing it, you'd have to be really bad, and you're probably too polite to do that. So that's just something to watch out for, you know, and you will do it. Everyone does it. Everyone, you know, they protect themselves by saying it's crap. And that's a point of view. It's probably not the point of view of the person you're telling it it's crap to, but you're putting ideas into their head. Why? Because they might think, oh, it's crap, is it? Well, let me have a look. Oh, that's crap. Oh, shame. Better luck next time. What a ridiculous thing to do. You know, you've told them it's crap and they start thinking it's crap. In fact, it's absolutely amazing or beautiful or wonderful or touching. The worst thing is, I find in this, not in artistic things, but in gifts. It's when you give a gift to someone and you criticize the gift that you're giving to them. You say, I'm sorry, it's very small, or, you know, it's not very good, or I wish I could have got a better one. Wow, this is so sad. This is so incredibly sad. Because you're spoiling the joy of the person who will receive the gift from you. You're spoiling your joy in just giving. And, well, it's all downhill from there, isn't it? You know, just give, don't make an excuse, and the person can just say thank you. That's all, you know, and a warm moment has happened. So, yeah, that was a little aside on criticizing yourself when you've created something, and also criticizing your gifts when you try and give them because you don't think they're good enough or big enough, you know. Terrible habit we have. So that was that. What did that inspire? Well, it inspired two poetic moments from yours truly. I was really pleased. The first one is a bit of nonsense. You see, bloody hell, what's going on? When I said a bit of nonsense, that's not really criticizing, because it is like words all over the place, left, right, and center. Probably impossible to work out any meaning, which is kind of fun. But there it was, you see, a bit of negative criticism. As soon as you hadn't even had time to see it, and I was bringing it down just in case you think it's crap. There's a lesson to be learned here, a really, really important one, I think. What I should do is say, look, I created this yesterday. It's called A Couple of Leaves. This is how it goes. The rhythm gets kind of weird at one point, and I have difficulty hanging on to the rhythm because I changed the rhythm, so bear with me. 2 leaves from one tree, 1 hive, many bees. Two knees, knock one trunk. Saints alive, dive and dunk. Nature's ways, wise and wily. Wide choices, same sources. Mild minion rides on a million deep seas. Junk heaves to and mills, while white prancing horses. A beach ball, Coke cans, a couple leaves. It's impossible to get any meaning from it, and yet I assure you there is some if you dig. I'll try again. Two leaves from one tree. One hive, many bees. Two knees, knock one trunk. Saints alive, dive and dunk. Nature's ways, wise and wily. Wide choices, same sources. Mild minion writhes on a million deep seas. Junk heaves to and mills, while white prancing horses. A beach ball, Coke cans, a couple leaves. When I'd finished writing this, I thought, wow, fun. And there is meaning in there. It's all about sort of oneness and stuff. And there's play on words and stuff like that. And it's, it's fun. Many years ago, I realized you shouldn't try to explain poems in other words. Because other words can't explain other words, can they? Can other words explain anything? Can words explain anything? Can words explain a picture? No, because a picture is visual. A picture is explained, in inverted commas, when someone opens their eyes and sees it. A song, even a song without words, is explained when you open your ears and hear it. That's the explanation. After you can say, well, he wrote it because his mother had just passed away, blah, blah, blah. You can do that if you like, but that's a middleman. That's a middleman. These are my thoughts. Iskra was saying, no need for a meaning. Rhythm, sounds, verbal, picture is enough. There's both. There's both and probably more. There's the word play. There's the rhythm. There's the rhymes. There is the meaning that is in there somewhere. And my meaning won't be the same as yours. And that's fine. And yours is right, by the way. The meaning you take from this, if any, is absolutely right. I mean, if someone listens to a piece of music, one person says, I feel very sad when I listen to this music. And the other, I'm just seeing a funny comment. And the other person says, I feel very happy. Well, who's right? You know the answer, don't you? They both are. So I like the idea. I've thought about this sometimes. When you create something, should you explain it? Should there be an explanatory note next to it? Author's note. In case you haven't got a fucking clue what this is about, I'll give you an idea. That wasn't a swear word. Unless you haven't got a jolly old idea what's going on. The fun is in creating something and letting it fly, like you let your kids go, if you can get rid of them. No, I'm kidding. Then it's its own thing. And if someone reads it and they like it, great. If someone hates it, great. If someone interprets it one way, great. If someone interprets it in a completely different way, well, that's life. That's life. They're not right or wrong, are they? It's right for them. That's it. It's right for them. So creativity, if you think something is good, it is good for you. There's no comparison. Comparison is a waste of time and effort and energy. And I got applauded. So I totally agree, Iskra. You don't have to say things that I agree with, and you don't have to agree with what I say either. I've got some views which people don't agree with. Obviously, everyone has, but sometimes I say them, and I never want to hurt. But having said that, what's that saying about your speech should be impeccable? I think not wanting to hurt others is a good thing, but I don't think you should change your honesty to not hurt others, because a lot of others' hurt is their problem. They're being hurt. You're not hurting them. So I think maybe honesty comes above not doing something honest because it might hurt someone. Because for someone it'll hurt, someone else will laugh. So there's all these considerations to take into account. And it's not about you. These are going, those things, those Toltec principles, what are they? Toltec Accord, something like that. I mean, they're just wisdom of ages put in another way, but it's all good stuff. Some of it's good stuff, and it's not about you is a good one. If someone doesn't like something that you've created, it's not about you, it's about them. Or maybe it's about the thing you created. If it's an abomination, then fair enough. But still, someone might like it and someone might not. But it's nothing to do with you. And to be honest, it's really nothing to do with the thing either. If you create something which gives someone pleasure, I think it was worth doing. And I mean, if it gives more pleasure than it gives pain, then that's wonderful, isn't it? There's loads of things that you can do which either won't affect people at all, or they won't care, so they're not really hurt, or they'll really like them. And it gets complicated because if someone creates something for you, you tend to like it whatever it looks like, right? Vespina said, my daughter just applauded you. Well, as she should, as she should. I'd have been surprised if you'd written anything else. Vespina's daughter. Yeah, you're the best. What have you created today? Go to my Today's the Day group, Today's the Day group, and tell us what today's the day you did. Today's the day you did what? Today's the day you had what? Today's the day you felt what? Do it. If you're watching this, do it. It'll be nice. This isn't the only thing that this inspired, because having read that thing that I'd written, thinking, wow, what the hell? I thought, can I get a bit simpler? So I decided to do something else, more in the feeling of a meme. I think have I published this somewhere? God, maybe I haven't published it anywhere. Did I publish it here? That's me, talking to me. This is the next 9 photographs coming up, people. If you want to check them out and have a bit of fun, try and guess what they are. Those are the next 9. That's the next chapter, chapter 5 in this book. So that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the thing that I created. Yeah, there it is. So this was the other thing that I created from the same picture. How about that? So I'm recycling. You see, I'm environmentally conscious, recycling my pixels. Let me just get rid of that thing there. Do you recycle stuff? Are you creative from one thing in various different ways? How would you like to be more creative? This is a question you can answer in the chat. How would you like to be more creative? Are you as creative as you'd like to be? Are you as productive as you'd like to be? Are you frustrated? Is something holding you back? What could it be? How could you be more creative? Are you happy with the way you're going on in life? Is creativity something that really makes you happy and feel satisfied with your life or not? How do you define happiness? For me, creating stuff makes me happy. So for me, my happiness is very, very closely linked to what I've created today. Maybe it's different for you. I don't know where I read it or saw it somewhere, but someone was saying that creativity, I'll lay a heavy, not a truth bomb, but a kind of thought bomb on you. I'm just going to turn the lights on. I hope you're doing okay. How are you doing? You okay? How's your weekend? There's a one. How's your weekend, people? Got some sort of fly thing flying around. A moth. Oh, little moth. Yeah, by the way, tell me how your weekend's going. How are you doing in lockdown, people? Are you in lockdown? Are you finding this a very strange time? Are you finding it difficult to be as creative or even as happy as you would like to be? Is it tough being surrounded by the same people all the time if you're with others? Or is it great? Are you looking on it as a new start? Are you feeling that you're going to have a different outlook on life when we come out of this? Or maybe you're hoping that the whole world will have a different outlook when we come out of this. This would be really interesting to know, you know, what's this lockdown situation doing for you and the way you look on life? That would be interesting. And maybe your creative life, maybe you're having new ideas about what you could, my eyes are hurting, new ideas on what you could, you know, be doing in your life. This one here is the other thing that came out. I thought, look, I've just thrown a whole bunch of words out there. Can I do something simpler? So I did this. Leaves fall, you drift by, fall leaves. Leaves fall, you drift by, fall leaves. And there's playing around with the words in the image as well. That's actually part of the creativity. There's a certain type of poetry where you put the words in the shape of something that's described in the poem. This isn't exactly that, but actually it kind of is, because you imagine a leaf, a leaf kind of falls like this, doesn't it? Like this. So I kind of imagined, you know, a leaf falling down as the leaves are falling. You know, the Americans don't use the word autumn, they use the word fall for autumn. I find this a great tragedy. Well, I mean, I use autumn, so it hasn't changed that much for me, but I just can't help wondering why they couldn't use the word autumn. It's such a beautiful word. It's got a silent N at the end. Autumn, autumn. It's just beautiful. And there's no other word like it. And with the word autumn are all the feelings of, well, especially beautiful falling leaves, the colors of autumn, the sound of the leaves as you... This is one of my strongest childhood memories, is slushing. I don't know if it's a real word, but slushing through the leaves on the way home from school one day, because they'd all fallen. It was a carpet of leaves. They were quite dry, and it made that beautiful sound. And the Americans have decided it should be called fall, because it's when the leaves fall. Dong! You know, is that a mic drop moment? Like, how... Maybe they forget and they need the season to remind them, you know, oh my God, what season is it? Oh, hey, I just saw a leaf fall. It's fall. Anyway, I won't go off on that. I will go off on a new comment, and it says, dum-de-dum, Despina saying nice things about no need for meaning, rhythm, sounds. This is a question, isn't it? And again, it's a personal choice. I don't mind if someone wants to know the deeper meaning behind some abstract painting, because it's communication, isn't it? You know, oh yeah, of course I'll tell you. I was thinking this, or I was trying to do something with this idea. Fine, okay, but you don't have to. It's extra, and it's maybe not necessary. And after the applause from Despina's daughter, 𝗂𝗓𝗏 said, "Just had a breakthrough, Sab. Glad to have caught you live." What you don't say is if the breakthrough was linked to what I said. Just had a breakthrough, Sab. Glad to have caught you live. Yeah, I'm hoping to be live, you know, for quite a while yet, actually. Even a few years, if everything goes according to plan. But if I drop dead at some point, I hope maybe you'll be there to catch me as well. 𝗂𝗏𝗏 says, I'm going through a stage which I still have no words to describe. A state of being, sending something new and different emerging, but no words yet, and no need to describe it. Going through a stage which I still have no words to describe. A state of being, sending, is it sending or sensing? Sending something new and different. It could be sensing, something new and different emerging, but no words yet, and no need to describe it. You don't put any value on this. What I mean is you don't say if it's a good feeling, a bad feeling. I mean, I'm guessing it's a positive feeling, but you're not saying anything, so I don't want to assume anything. And I don't want to, you know, say anything which would negate this in any way. my only question would be about stages of life. I'm never sure where to draw the line between one stage of life and another. It's like trying to draw the line between 1 second and another, 1 minute and another. I guess days, I guess, are easier to draw lines between because you sleep between them. But stages of life, it depends, doesn't it? It depends. Maybe there's several things going on in life concurrently, and maybe there's always a certain stage finishing and other things which are continuing. I think we like to see some sort of, have a feeling that we have some sort of control of something, and maybe imagining stages of life. And if we imagine them, then they can be real for us, I guess. That can be a help. I mean, for example, you could imagine the stage of life when your children are at home. That could be a stage of life, or the stage of life that you lived up until you left your parents' home, or it could be a stage of life attached to a particular career. So I guess that can help us. And yeah, it can help us. Having said that, we are always there, aren't we? We might think that stages are changing or life's changing or circumstances are changing, but we are kind of there all the time, aren't we? So I'm not 100% sure what is changing. Is it a way of looking at things? An attitude? Or maybe a feeling of freshness, a feeling of looking more towards the future than back towards the past? Maybe that's it. So I think if you feel a new stage coming, or that you're about to have a significant change in your life, I think that can only be a good thing. It can only be a good thing. And then I would think on the practical level, if I remember my Lazy Pig articles, which are about, especially two, creativity is about having great ideas, and productivity is actually producing something that you can share, then don't let the thinking I'm moving into a new stage phase last too long. Get on with it, get into the new stage and go for it. Do the things that you think the new stage will be good for. Start doing them, start doing them now, like one of them today. And then you're in it, that's it. I mean, unless there's another possibility, it's that you're kind of enjoying the idea that a new stage is coming. But if you hold on to that too long, if you want to put off it's like putting off opening the presents for a little while, because sometimes the present's a disappointment, or the excitement is in having the present to open. And in that case, that's, maybe you need to look at it in a different way. Isn't it about enjoying the stage of life you're in? If we're in a stage of life, isn't it about enjoying whatever stage we're in? Isn't happiness about enjoying this moment, every moment? In which case, stages can come and go. They can play a role. They can be in the background. But you're still living your life from moment to moment. You're still living this moment now. You're here with me. If you're watching me, we're sharing this moment together. I'm very happy to be spending this moment here with you, with me, with this. I'm happy now. And if I was wishing this were over, that would be one of the few times I allow myself to use the word failure. I would have failed in that moment because I would have wasted this moment. I'm not happy all the time at all. I wasn't happy when I was having headaches from giving up coffee. But still, you've got to say, this moment is, it all comes down to one thing. I'm just going to shut up because it's obvious. It comes down to one thing. Either you believe that the only moment you've got to do anything in is now, or you don't. And if you don't believe that, fine. Believe whatever you want to believe. Or if you think that the only moment you can do good things is now, the only moment you can enjoy with any sort of, power to do anything is this one, well, do something good now. And if you're not, see a way of thinking that it is actually quite good, or change what you're doing and do something good. that's what your comment made come up for me. Is that English? Don't know. It is now. Synchronicities. 3 exclamation marks. Do 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 do. I like 3 exclamation marks. Iskra says, typing on my phone is a bit challenging. State instead of stage, sensing instead of sending. Okay, right, yeah. Darn autocorrect, right? State instead of stage. State instead of state. So I've given you a huge discourse, diatribe on stages, and you didn't even say that. Well, maybe it's not that dissimilar. State. I'm going through a state. Maybe it's stage state. It's not, yeah, and you say state here, so it's not too disastrous, I think. Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, I think it's good. They do say that people go through middle-age crisis or stuff like that, where you've done a bunch of stuff and a lot of it you thought was going to make you happy, and it did at some points, and it didn't at some points. But beyond that, you're looking for something else. You're looking for the thing that gives you a reason to continue for the rest of your life, basically. When sometimes certain things seem to have played your role. You know, biologically, you've done your bit. You've had your career, which you ended up not liking too much, or it was fine, you know, been there. Now I want to use that in a more obvious, like, giving way. That seems to happen. And I think that's good. I think it's great. I think it's part of the process. I think it's moving from, I like something I heard recently, which is why I'm repeating it quite a lot, that you can divide yourself into 2 halves. The first half is receiving half, and the second half is the giving half. I mean, you might think, as a parent, you might think that you might be receiving a lot of love from your little kiddies, but you're also giving a lot to them. Maybe that's an interim period. As a kid, you're just absorbing everything, aren't you? You need to receive everything because you're an empty slate. Sometimes you receive stuff you shouldn't have received. But then after sort of maybe end of kids having time, it seems to flip over to a giving state. You seem to get more and more happiness and satisfaction and feel that your life is worthwhile from giving stuff to others, which gives you stuff as well. It's not that you're just giving everything, you know, and you're not getting anything. Of course, we do things because we get pleasure from them, but that seems to be more and more giving as opposed to obtaining, you know, collecting, acquiring. More thoughts. Despina says, we're entering the womb and are getting ready to birth ourselves. A transformation is occurring. So this will be in relation to the lockdown, entering the womb. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? We've entered our homes. We've enclosed ourselves in a way, enclosed ourselves maybe mentally a little bit as well. We're getting a load of stuff coming at us. We're being bombarded with information. We're starting to filter that information, realize that we spend an awful lot of our lives absorbing awful information which doesn't really enrich our lives. We're also, I think, feeling more aware of how important connection and giving is. I've got 3 keywords at the moment. I'll tell you what they are. Creativity, it's been mine for a long one. Connectivity, relatively new, and a kind of one that's been hovering in the background for a while, with connectivity and creativity. And it's becoming more and more important to me as something that helps me see more clearly. It begins with A, and it's authenticity. It's a terrible cliched word, but I think it's one of those cliches that it's a cliche because it's incredibly important. Authenticity is about being yourself and realizing that you don't have to be yourself, like turn into a complete clown or something like that, you know, but be authentic, be yourself, do things that you like, see what you really like doing and do it more. And you'll realize that people will appreciate you more. Go live when you haven't prepared, like me. This is a good example. I'm not making any claims for it, but I'm telling you, I did not prepare a thing. And if I make a mistake or I screw up or I have to do something while you're watching. This is life. And that's a biggie for me. Authenticity is a biggie. And the great thing about it is you feel great. You feel more and more happy with yourself when you're authentic. And you realize that everybody else prefers you as well. Just think of a salesman who's trying to sell you something. The one that'll work, the one you'll buy from, is the one that you feel is being honest with you, being themselves and giving you a bit of their story. And it's not just some marketing thing. At this point, you tell them a little story about a really rough patch in your life. No, even if they are, you see it's also real. That's the thing. You see it's also real. And if you like, you can get away from that altogether and just be authentic. That's what I'm trying to do. We'll see what happens. So, Dorothy, we're entering the womb, getting ready to birth ourselves. A transformation is occurring. Well, I think it's wonderful that you see things like that. I really hope it's true. I really hope it is, because I think things have gone a bit too far. I mean, you know, appreciate every moment. Like I said, don't sit there thinking the world is terrible, because you'll miss all the great things. But having said that, I know this. I have this person I follow, kind of spiritual teacher type, but not like woo woo. And he says you're allowed to be pissed off with, you know, some idiot leader doing something stupid. You're allowed to. You're allowed to protest for something you feel, and it's not allowed. What does that mean? But, you know, it's okay. It's like, give yourself permission to be annoyed at things. Give yourself permission to stand up for things that you think are important. This might be against the backdrop of nothing's really important in the big scheme of things. But still, you know, that's kind of reassuring. We're still allowed to be human, even if we're trying to be, you know, deep and meaningful and connected and stuff. You can still have your preferences. You can still think that free jazz is one of the worst inventions in the whole of mankind. Dorothy says, describes my sensations quite well. Great. Oh, Iskra says, describes my sensations quite well. Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling this is a turning point. We like symbolism. You know, why do we like the 1st of January? Why do we like our birthday? Because it's a new start, you know. It's all very symbolic. It's the stages that I was telling you about before. They're invented, but, you know, a new year, a new series of 365 days starts every day, doesn't it? But we like it. Everybody agrees. In some countries, we agree that something happens on the 1st of January. You know, apparently it's a thing. It's called a year, a new year. You know, and as much as that amuses us or gives us a little bit of a push to start something new, great. But the downside is you think that if you've left it till the 2nd of January, damn, I'll do it next year. But if you see every day as a new day, a new life, a new opportunity, and every day as the start of the next year, if you want years, that's great. But why doesn't it start today? You know, the next best year of your life is starting today, not next January the 1st. Vespina says, creativity and productivity are two different notions for me. Yeah, I described this in my recent article on productivity, I think, which hasn't been published yet, or has it? If I click here, what happens? Productivity bites. Here it comes, or here comes nothing. I produce, therefore I am. Oh, it's looking good. I just can't remember if I... Yeah, this is an article that I've just published. Let me get rid of this. And it's called, I'm publishing 4 articles, all describing the topics. One is called I produce, therefore I am. I create, therefore I am. I'm curious, therefore I am, or something like that. And I'm infinite, therefore I am. So in those, I kind of describe the concept of these categories. Then, you know, it's reigns free. I'm just going to write whatever I want on all of those topics whenever I want. Not a structure. Structures are a nightmare for me. I was thinking of I'll do one on every week. I'll do one on productivity, one on creativity, one on curiosity, one on infinity every week. And I know it'll be it'll be a constriction for me. So I've given that idea up. Just like I said, I'm not going to plan these. I'm going to do an article on whatever topic comes to my mind, whenever it comes to my mind, and that's it. As it happens, stuff comes to my mind all the time. Right, so what did I say? Shall I read this? Shall I read some of this? Well, why don't I read it, for crying out loud? It's my sapsang, isn't it? So this is my latest article on productivity. See what you think. No one's seen this yet. It's new, folks. Hot off the what? Presses. Old term for old people. Are you a frustrated genius? Do you have... Fantastic. If you've been listening to this for about an hour, you'll know that I talked about criticizing our own work. And I even did it with the poem, which I started by saying it's really weird and complicated. I was just about to do it here. I was just about to criticize this and make an excuse for something. Unbelievable. Are you a frustrated creative genius? Do you have endless, amazing ideas which remain cruelly crushed within your cranium? Do you have huge problems, even starting stuff, let alone actually finishing things? And I mentioned that at the beginning, didn't I? I'm not saying it's true because I'm reading my own article. But it is. This is common, and it's the curse of many imaginative folks. Our minds bombard us with non-stop nonsense from dawn to dusk. And then some, along with quite a few potential gems. And thanks, mind, really, I appreciate it. The problem is, it's almost impossible to focus on one thing long enough to develop projects or get anything worthwhile completed. Ideas coming all the time, it's tough. It's a nightmare, you know. So we're constantly frustrated, and no one gets to experience and benefit from the fruits of our fertile imaginations. Dang! This is what it's exactly relating to what I was going to say. This is where productivity and anything that can help it happen comes in. That's why I consider productivity to be the flip side of creativity. They are our heaven-sent angelic twins, and they are only of any use when together. You need the great ideas, you need the discipline to produce the stuff. Otherwise, you're kind of swimming in, you know, la-la land. When creative, unless you want to spend your life dreaming, or unless you want to spend your life producing something with no real creativity to it, then that's another choice. When creativity and productivity are separated, they are virtually useless. When they're united, miracles happen. What I mean is, you can have all the lovely, fluffy, cuddly daydreams you like, but as long as you don't get down to producing something others can get their hands on, or glue their eyes to, or stick in their ears, so like pictures, visual things, or music, or write, or things to listen to, that's all they are, window glazing and campfire gazing. You know, looking into the campfire, watching the flames. Ah, one day. Likewise, you can be a puffin powerhouse, chugging away all day. But if what you're producing is uninspired, or the imaginative ideas aren't coming, then you might as well be on a production line, tightening screws or checking muffins. Pretty unrewarding, to say the least. What I want to do, this is the reason, one of the reasons for these articles, the aims, the objectives. What I want to do is combine the two. And it's for me as much as anyone else. Develop, because I'm terrible at finishing anything. I can't even finish a sentence. Develop the ability to work steadily and purposely on something utterly unique in the truest creative spirit. Does that sound interesting? Doesn't it? I hope so. Funnily enough, when we finally get down to producing something that excites us, we often forget how difficult it was to start and just get on with it, and stuff happens. But that's another story, and quite enough for now. My productivity bites will tackle some small aspect of productivity with a useful nugget in there somewhere, like knowing when to stop. Finished. See? So that is not necessarily in the format of all of the following articles, because it's one of 4 to kind of introduce the categories of productivity articles, creativity articles, curiosity articles, which is the fun side of life, and infinity articles, it's my favorite word, which is more about the deeper, meaningful stuff. So I hope you check them out sometimes, and it should be fun. I should put something a bit more beautiful on than that, shouldn't I? What about if I put on my last my last bunch of photographs. That was that volume, and this was the last volume. Got some more people commenting. This is wonderful. Thank you so much for commenting. It's so wonderful to have you here. Now, the spirit of this is that you ask questions. Okay, so ask questions, make comments, and interact so that I'm not alone. And I have something to talk about. And I'm not answering your questions. I can't answer your questions. I can only talk about them. You are the only ones who can do anything, basically. I'm trying to work out what's going on here. Yeah, so that was in relation to what you said. Creativity and productivity are different notions for me. What do you mean they're different notions to you, Despina? Mirali, hi. So nice of you to join me. Thank you. Really nice to have you here. Remember, I don't necessarily know what you're replying to. Very true. I've been struggling to express myself authentically, okay, in my creative work. And this lockdown has been a blessing and allowing it through. Yeah, I'd be interested to know what you mean by struggling to express yourself authentically in your creative work. I don't know what you mean. What has been hard? What do you mean? Why do you not think your creative work is as authentic as you would like it to be? That would be an interesting thing to talk about. Dorothy says, people with different religions and cultures are working together, cooperating. I was going to say hallelujah. If you're replying to the lockdown and the coronavirus situation, if that's the case, then wonderful. Wonderful. Yeah. I'm not a great believer in boundaries of anything. You know, I said I've given up believing in anything. I never really have believed in real boundaries between countries, for example. I know they're kind of necessary, and I know that, you know, there are certain circumstances where you would say, like during wars, you would quite like to belong to the country that wins, for example, you know. So I'm not that dumb, I guess, or that naive. That we are living in this kind of world right now, in whatever way we are. So you got to go with that. But, you know, like on principle, because you're called a certain nationality, that means that you, I mean, I like differences in cultures. It's what makes humans rich. It's wonderful. Different types of food, different beliefs, different, you know, but fundamentally we're the same, kind of, you know. So it's a shame when people let these kind of artificial, invented differences, which change as well, you know, frontiers change, beliefs change. It's a shame when we let those overtake our underlying humanness. And wouldn't it be lovely if we could go further and see ourselves as part of a bigger families than just humans? Because I don't think humans, in many cases these days, it's not a particularly great thing to be proud of, being human these days. But anyway, yeah. So if that's the case, then wonderful. And Iskra says, my son says good night and I'm taking him to bed now. Thank you, Sad. And everyone here, I enjoyed this space and conversation. So did I. Thank you, Iskra. It's wonderful to see you. Hope you're doing fine, and I hope your course is progressing well. Dorothy says, yes. You know, I haven't looked at the time once. Isn't that crazy? I did start later than usual. Oh, my goodness. I started later than usual, but I'm still on track for 2 hours. That's amazing, isn't it? 2 hours chatting. How wonderful. I wondered if there was anything else. I'm going to go through my Facebook feed because by the way, just as a matter of interest, I imagined at least 3 different meanings in this, and I thought about it again, thinking about what other people might see, and I'm sure there's like 5, 6, or 7 different interpretations of these 7 words, which is quite fun. Leaves fall, you drift by, 4 leaves. And in fact, two of the words are the same, aren't they? Leaves and fall. There's only 5 words, and yet it's incredibly profound. Maybe. So I'm just going to look through my homepage to see what else has been going on in my life, and feel free to talk to me about your life and what's going on for you. I'll just get rid of Dorothy saying yes. It's very positive, like in the Beatles film, The Yellow Submarine. If you haven't seen that, it's wonderful. And at the end, the yeses smash the nose into oblivion. Yeah, so this is my surprise. It has snippets of the next 9 Paris Photo Chronicles that are coming. So you might want to check those out on a daily basis, my writing and my photos. This is the thing that has found me, and I don't seem to be stopping anytime soon. That's me, still alive. That's the thing I do, where at the end of each chapter, I publish the grid of the 9 photographs, and then and at the same time, I publish the grid of the photos with the texts. You can't read the texts, but it's just to show you that the texts exist. And to be honest, I've really started in the last few months putting the text around the photos. Before I just plastered them over. And now I do try to take care to leave a nice bit of photograph, but not always, if it's not possible, or I've got too much blah blah that I want to say, then I won't. What about you guys? What are your plans for the coming week, creatively? That's the second time I've just reinvented that word, because I invented it at the beginning. Creatively, or productively, or spiritually, or fun-wise. What have you got planned? How are you dealing with these times? And have you had any what are the new ways you've looked at life, or the new things that have come to you in the last few weeks? If you're in a country where they're, restricting you a lot to your home, what's going on with you? How's that working for you? So that's me publishing. Oh, I did publish it there. So that's me publishing the articles. Everything you want. If you want to follow all my creative stuff, I'm putting everything more or less on my 𝗏 Paris, facebook.com/𝗏 Paris. I'm just putting it all there. I don't really have a personal Facebook page. I just put all my stuff on that page. See, there's my leaves. And this is good because you click on the picture and the picture comes up, and you click on the other one and you've got the words. So you can. They've very much become one thing. A Paris Photo Chronicle is that. The 2 photos, one without the words and one with. That's the Paris Photo Chronicle. And I've found that it's, finding this, both the structure of putting it together in this particular format, the grids of 3 by 3, and this thing, these photos, these words, that has given me a structure. And that structure has made me very productive over the last couple of years. And so the thing is to find that. How can you find yours? I asked this question at the beginning. And to be honest, I'll finish with what I called this talk, this satsang, and I didn't really get into it. And that was just do it / little baby steps. And that I'll probably repeat to the end of my life, because that's the way to do things. It's the only way to do things. You can't do a whole load of things in the same space that it takes to do a small thing. You can only do a small thing in the small space of time. You might try and do a lot in the small space, but you won't manage it. But you can do a small thing in a small space of time. The thing is, will you then do another small thing in a very soon after, in another small space of time, and then another small thing in a soon after other small space of time? Because that's all you have to do. And if you do that, you'll do a big thing pretty quickly. I know that this is not new. I know that you've heard this before, but that doesn't matter, because if we're not getting where we want to get to, or we're not producing stuff that we'd like to, that means it doesn't matter what we think we know. We're not doing it. So it doesn't matter, does it? You can know everything. You can have all the books in the universe. You can have all the cool quotes, but if you don't actually follow them, what does it matter? That's why I never pay any attention to anybody's qualifications, or what university they went to, or how much money they've got, or how many TED Talks I don't care about any of that. It has no interest to me whatsoever, and it also doesn't impress me. It might even do the opposite. Because what are they trying to do? Are they trying to convince me by showing me some, I've got a certificate that says I'm really amazing. I got it from my home printer university. That doesn't matter. What interests me is what someone's working on now. And if they've done some cool stuff, fantastic, because at least they've done it, stuff that I can see. But people trying to convince me that they're good for some reason, that rings a bit hollow. It seems a bit like sad almost, Tell me what you're working on now. Let's get excited about that together. That's not belittling anything. It's not belittling anyone. Honestly, it's not. I've studied in my time. And studying is great. It's a phase. It's a time. It's, if you enjoy doing it, good. Is it worth something? I don't know. Maybe. But, someone who tries to hammer me over the head with their past apparent so-called qualifications in something or other. Nah. Show me something that you've done, that you created yourself. I'll enjoy looking at it or listening to it or tasting it. Tasting it. Show me what you're working on. Great. That's what does it for me. Okay, we've got one more comment from Vespina. She says, good night. Well, I'm going soon as well. 10 minutes and I'm off. Good night. I have PC issues. Ouch. PC issues. I think my computer needs formatting. Double ouch. I feel a bit frustrated at the moment. Great chatting with you. If you don't mind, write down what you mentioned about Daphne, because you were breaking up on my PC. Thanks. Yeah, I feel a bit frustrated at the moment. Yeah, well, what can I say? It means you're alive. If you weren't feeling anything, you'd be dead. So, and when I have, one of the things about any situation which is a bit contrary-wise, or no, what's the word? Compromising. At least you can appreciate when the situation isn't compromising. When I was having my headaches, they're kind of almost finished, I think. Headaches from giving up coffee, they were horrible. And I was thinking, what the hell? I'm supposed to appreciate the present moment now with a flipping great headache? Are you kidding me? Get me some Doliprane. And then I was thinking to myself, kind of wryly with a very reluctant smile, well, I sure am going to appreciate when I haven't got a headache. So, it's a bit like saying, hate is the flip side of love. One that can't really exist without the other. This isn't about comparison. This is about contrasts. It's not the same thing. To appreciate the good, you have to, appreciate the smooth. You have to have the rough. So these are cliches. These are not really me speaking, but I do kind of believe them. If I believe anything, which I said I didn't. Oops. They seem to make sense to me, and I try to reduce it down to something completely silly but obvious. Like if you weren't feeling anything, you'd be dead. So frustration, think of emotions maybe as information. Think of emotions as information about what's going on. And with that information, you can decide what to do with that information. If you weren't getting that information, information makes you move, doesn't it? Makes you advance, evolve. So if you're feeling frustrated about something, it's a signal. Okay, maybe it's unpleasant. If we're giving it a feeling, maybe it's unpleasant. You'd rather not. But maybe over and above that, it's information. Your body's saying to you, I'd like to move on from where we are right now, please. Maybe not your body, whatever, Why don't we start looking at some changes? What about if we start changing a few things? That's what frustration is saying, isn't it? Frustration, saying I feel frustrated is fair enough, but it doesn't stop there. Frustrated means things aren't quite the way you'd like them to be. One way of looking at life is that you just accept the way things are and that's it, zip. It is what it is. This is life, etc. Or another way of looking at emotions, which is pretty good way of looking at emotions, is it's information. whatever it is that's bringing that emotion to you is suggesting changes, suggesting thinking about something and maybe changing something. So I think that's pretty good. Frustration is good in that way, because it's saying, time for a change. Let's see what we can change. So the next thing to do is to move on from there and start looking for maybe what's frustrating you, what seems to be frustrating you. It could be inside you. So you could be frustrated about something and it's not necessarily a frustrating thing. It's that you're looking at it in that way. So, the change might be inside, the way you look at things. Or it might be that there's some external thing that is really frustrating in your immediate environment, which you might want to remove yourself from, or remove it from your environment. I mean, normally the biggest changes happen inside you, but sometimes external changes can be pretty good as well. And my example of that is the guy downstairs, because I have never talked to him, so that we haven't got any sort of relationship or anything, but he plays this loud music sometimes. Do you know the one that goes? Do you know that one? Well, I'm guessing it's got a melody to it. I don't hear it. I just hear that. And I was getting very frustrated about this. He doesn't even know he's frustrating me. That's even more frustrating. How frustrating is it that someone's frustrating you and they don't know you're frustrated? So I couldn't go and talk to him. I don't know him. He's really big and mean looking. Value judgment, supposition. But I didn't want to test my theory. And it's lockdown time. I don't want to go and talk to some strange guy. He's going to breathe coronavirus all over me. And then I said, look, you're getting irritated. What's going on here? How irritating is it really? How much is it affecting you? And I thought about it and I thought, well, not that much. I don't play my music loud because I'm conscious of the neighbors. I don't want to upset anyone. But I love loud music with beats that go. I do. So to be honest, we've got something in common. We both love music. And then I thought, well, look, maybe it's, I don't know what his life is like, but maybe it's one of the favorite things in his life. Maybe he's got a crappy job. He comes home and that's his time to relax. He gets his beer, his pizza, and he puts on his favorite music quite loud. And then I started feeling less bad about it. I share his love of music. I don't know what his situation is. He's never been unpleasant. I see him laughing with some friends sometimes. And it doesn't last all night, and it's not very often, it's not every day. So this has all come from this word frustration and what it really means. So maybe Despina, if you've gone, maybe you can watch the last 10 minutes and see if any of it makes any sense to you. As for what Daphne said, your daughter, is it? What I mentioned about Daphne? I can't remember. I probably said it's absolutely natural that she would be applauding. Why wouldn't she be applauding? That's what would be weird. And we're getting to the end. Another 2 hours down on a Sunday evening, and it's been one of my favorite yet. Isn't that wonderful? This pushes me to create. This pushes me to have more stuff to talk with you about next week. I would like you to create stuff as well that you can share with me. If you want to share a link with me, I can bring it up on the screen. How cool would that be? So let's do that. I challenge you to produce something, create something and share it with me. Ask me a question about it before next week, if you like, and I can include it beforehand. Preparation. Or you can just give me the link during the Sabsang, the Infinite Creativity Sabsang, because anything is possible, anything can happen. I'm really happy that you've been with me. It's been fun. It's re-inspired me. And, there's no barriers here. There's not me giving you stuff or you profiting from me or me profiting from you. It doesn't work that way. Without you, I wouldn't be here. Without me, you wouldn't be there. We're one thing, This experience is happening. If you're listening to these words, it's the same experience. We're part of the same experience. No one is above or below each other. No one is more this or less that. It's just, this is happening and it's cool. And I really enjoyed it. I really appreciated those of you who have watched and participated. It's really great. I hope you enjoy this space, as people say. And I'm planning on doing it as regularly, not as often, as regularly as my daily creativity stuff. I love sharing. I love it when people share with me. So I don't want this to be one way in terms of here's what I created, here's another thing I created. I would like it to be a sharing of creativity. It's not a place where people are on screen at the same time, because that can get kind of complicated. This is kind of my baby, you know, I blah, blah, blah. But having said that, it's wonderful when I get the questions, because it's a kind of controlled exchange. There are other times and other places for face-to-face, and those are wonderful as well. So I see someone else has just joined and I'm just about to go. I've just been on for 2 hours. I started late, but that didn't stop me from talking for 2 hours. And it's kind of because of you guys contributing, and I really appreciate that. So if you're just joining, that's what happens when you're on for a long time. People come along at the end and they think it's the beginning, and it isn't. I'm really sorry about that. But it's live, and also it's recorded, so you can just click the beginning and watch the whole thing through if you want. It's about creativity. It's about a place for talking about creativity, productivity, right? Bringing your creative ideas into existence. It's about curiosity, the curiosity of this crazy thing. No, curiosity is more about the fun aspects of life, because life is funny. We don't need jokes because life is a joke. It's also about infinity, talking about life, the universe, and everything. I love it all. And it's about communicating. It's about connection, and that's what this is for. So I will call it a day or a night. A new week, as they say, is starting. And let me just get rid of this final thing here. So it finishes on a, I'll bring myself back into the picture. How about that? So I've suddenly got a few people watching, whereas I didn't before. And I was just about to say bye-bye. So this is unfortunate. Okay, Dorothy's going to leave. Dorothy's going to leave. Well, so am I. So am I. Okay, so bye-bye, everyone. If you want to watch it, it was quite fun, believe me. So you can watch the whole thing again if you like. Just press the start from the beginning, and it's all there. Love to have your comments. Even after you're watching it on the replay, leave the comments. I'll read them. It'll be great to hear from you. So that's been the Infinite Creativity Satsang for this Sunday evening. The picture doesn't look like this. It looks like this. Ta-da! That's what you've been watching. And we talk about all sorts of things, and it's fun, and I appreciate everyone being there. Okay, happy weeks, happy creativity, stay in touch, and I'll talk to you again soon, and hopefully see you again next week. Bye for now. Red glass.